Are you about to move to a station for the first time? Or maybe you've been on a station for a little while now and you're still struggling to find your feet? Are you struggling with your new identity and self-care while being there? Are you concerned about the logistics of transporting in and out of the station, whether it's a wet season or a dry season? Even if you come from a background with livestock, when you're moving to a station, are you concerned about the different logistics in how to move stock and how that might play out in your daily life? Are you taking on a support role for the first time for your husband or partner while being on station? All these questions are addressed in today's episode with Alex Ladder. She'll be sharing in our discussion tips, tricks, advice, and hacks on how to be able to have a smoother transition into station life, or even work on the 1% that can really make a big difference. Let's jump into today's episode. Hi, and welcome to the farm. Today we're talking You've Married the Farmer, Now What? And our guest today is Alex Ladder. She is a mother of two, a wife to her husband Cam, horse lover and runner. Welcome, Alex.
Hi, Katja. Thank you very much for having me.
Alex, can you start by telling us a little bit about yourself, your family, and the station that you're on?
Yeah, sure. In my family, there's my husband Cam, and then we have two children. Matilda is 3, and little Dusty is nearly 10 months old now. We manage a station together about 400 kilometres sort of southwest of Katherine in the Northern Territory.
Perfect. Exploring a little bit about who you were prior to moving to the farm. So tell me a little bit about growing up, and then how did you get to be on farm with Cam?
Yeah, so I grew up in the southern tablelands of New South Wales, actually, just outside a small little town called Taralga. My parents have got a couple of thousand acres there. They have crossbred sheep and a small commercial cattle herd. And then I left school in year 11, went to Ag College, and met years before we actually got together. So we were friends for a long time. And then we moved to the Territory in 2019. And we moved down here to where we are now in, I think it was the start of March last year. So 30 weeks with Dusty when we moved down here. Yeah, and it was a once in a 20-year flood, actually. So, yeah, we actually had to fly in by helicopter. We had just had a bag each for a couple of weeks until we could get all our stuff across the river. So that was a bit of an experience.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do not recommend moving heavily pregnant either, packing up a whole house.
So, Alex, you said that you and your family are off. So tell me the transition between having the sheep and commercial herd of cattle to the station you're on now. What's the comparison between what you've come from to where you are now?
Yeah, it's completely different. Just a whole nother scale. I think when you sort of come to the north, you're best sort of thinking that you know absolutely nothing, because just from the day-to-day running of the station to how you handle the cattle, it's just completely different. And it's a bigger scale, obviously, but your Herefords to your Brahmins, even just handling them, and the herds are bigger, and obviously the paddock sizes are bigger, and mustering with helicopters, and a bit different to just Dad with his bike and a couple of dogs, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. And so you mentioned that you knew Cam 10 years prior to getting together. So how did you meet?
So we met, I actually went to college with his sister, and yeah, we met through that. And then we didn't get together till we got together in 2015, I believe. And we actually were engaged by 2016. So I guess there was no awkward getting to know each other period. And then, we were married in 2018. So, had our first daughter, Matilda, in 2020.
Yeah.
Up here in Darwin. We lived just 2.5 hours from Darwin at that stage, on a smaller place up there where we first moved to when we came to the Territory. And we had her in the private hospital up there, and it was amazing. We had our own room, like double bed. Cam could stay with me. He was getting Uber Eats to the room. He thought it was fabulous. But yeah, we obviously had to travel appointments, but our obstetrician was amazing. And same with when we had Dusty last year. They're used to having a lot of station mums, I think. So, every week, sort of, as you might usually, if you obviously don't have a complicated pregnancy like mine, were both fine. I never got any morning sickness or anything. I was very lucky. But yeah, we just went to town a week with Dusty, and I think 2 weeks with Matilda, 2 weeks before my due date. Yeah, so I just hang around, have a bit of a holiday in Darwin. So we're 700 kilometres from Darwin now, but there's a hospital in Katherine, but we already had our obstetrician in Darwin, so we just chose to stick with that. Family, it's a lot easier for them to fly in. My mum and dad flew in and had Matilda while we were having Dusty. Yeah.
That's really good. Let's take a break in today's episode to give a shout out to one of the supportive links in today's episode, the Thermomix TM6. Cook smarter, not harder, with the Thermomix TM6 and Cookie Do subscription. This is the Thermomix exclusive recipe library with access to thousands of step-by-step recipes on the screen of your new Thermomix. Experience features such as menu planning and inspiration for food ideas, plus the freedom of cooking for your family and making their favourites hassle-free. The TM6 is your second hand on the kitchen, replacing over 20 different appliances in chopping, blending, whipping, weighing, milling, kneading, mincing, searing, surveying, and much, much more. To find out more about the TM6, click the link in the description below. If you are also looking for a side income and are wanting to try the Thermomix for yourself, as well as selling it to friends and family, please also click the link below. Now let's get back to today's episode. So, Alex, tell me about the first impressions of flying in with your bag, pregnant, to the station. Tell me what you first thought, your first impressions, and, how did your first 2 weeks unfold on farm?
Yeah, I think it was lucky it was my second child. You're a lot more relaxed. You think you need all the things with your first, but because it was my second, I just thought, oh, well, as long as I get my bassinet over here, you don't really need a change table. We got everything in by the time Dusty was born, but it was pretty daunting. It's a lot bigger role than our last role. We had previously a lot more cattle to, but when we went to Darwin to have Dustin, it actually rained again, and we have a big river crossing. We have to cross the Victoria River to get into our place. Rained while we were up. Unusual. It was April, so the wet season's generally over by then. And it was just lucky that Cameron happened to buy a new fishing tinny, which was essential while we were up there having the new baby. And that's actually how we got Dustin home when he was a week old. I've got a photo of little baby Dusty and Matilda and me going across the river in the tinny. So that will be a good story to tell when he gets older, I think. Yeah, that was pretty memorable.
Absolutely. So when you first moved to the farm, you had one baby, you were just about to have Dustin, then you came home and you had 2 beautiful children, and as you said, the operation is bigger to what you were previously used to. So while you're adjusting to motherhood and station life, tell us a little bit about how you went with finding yourself, your identity, and your new role on that station.
Yeah, I guess last year was a pretty big blur between the baby and the new role. We ride horses a lot, and I saw as much as I could, and I also like running. So even if Cam's left early and is back late, I've got a treadmill, so at least I can get on there and go for a run. It's been good, works in well. I can have in the office and the kids are there with me. I can do my job while they're still there, as hard as it can be sometimes. I'm pretty lucky, that I can have them around and still work.
So tell us a little bit more about your role and then Cam's role on the station.
So my role is station support, I think it's called. Just do a lot of the sort of book work, I guess, office work, and then help out where I can. Obviously, I didn't get out of the house compound really much at all last year. So I said to Cam, if you drop me out in the middle of the station, I don't know if I'd be able to find my way back yet, because I haven't been out much yet. Hopefully a bit more this year, but yeah, and then just supporting Cam in his role as station manager. He's got 22,000 head of cattle, 8,000 breeders, and yeah, plus I think it's 12 other staff, or 13 depending. That's about it.
That's a nice, big, well-rounded, big role.
Yes.
So Alex, either speaking of some of the previous places you've been on or where you are now, what was the biggest hurdle moving from farm to farm, like integrating into the system? What was the hardest hurdle?
This year that we know a lot of I think your first year is sort of you're just learning, even just there's so many different sets of yards here, just the way cattle work through the yards, or, which paddocks to muster first. And yeah, so I think probably just getting to know the new station and the lay of the land. Things you will still be trying to figure it out, but won't be quite as hard as last year. I think just getting to know how everything runs as smoothly as possible. Any hiccups, yeah, which isn't always doable, things happen.
Someone else is moving to a station in a similar role to yourself and Cam. What would your tips, tricks, and advice be for them, in their first 12 months to make that transition smoother?
I'd probably say ask lots of questions to your predecessors, or, we have a general manager, so Cam's always on the phone to him. I've got a few of the station managers that I am forever messaging and asking questions. Yeah, I think just having a supportive team around you, do your research about, make sure it's a good fit for you, ask around. I think in the north we're pretty lucky industry.
So that sort of leads into my next question, Alex, and that is, how did you go about feeling supported and connected to the new community that you're in, both on station and abroad from that as part of the cattle and ag industry?
I guess we sort of knew a few people from going to camp drafts, and that, like I said, the north's pretty small up here. As large as it is, it's a pretty small community. And I'm a pretty big talker, so I just sort of talk to anyone, and yeah, they might think I'm a bit of a weirdo, but I just message people, reach out, try and go to as many social occasions as we can, get to know your team. We're pretty lucky, we have a lot of sort of team meetings throughout the year, so that's really good. And I think the biggest thing is for our staff that we have here, we try and make it like a family, because, we're living together all year and working alongside each other. They all work really hard. A bit of a family sort of.
Is there certain elements that you implement to make it feel more like a family rather than a professional working environment?
Yeah, I guess we all have dinner, so we have a cook, and we all have dinner in the kitchen. We try and have it's hard working long days, but try and make an effort to make time to knock off early and have beers on the lawn, and have a barbecue where Cam might cook, and the cook will have the night off, or she might make some salads or whatever. There's a few stations around us. We try to go to as many social events as we possibly can.
And for those who haven't been to the territory before, can you tell me about what some of those social events may look like and how they might be able to prepare to going to their first one?
Yeah, so I guess camp draft rodeos and social events, preparing, if you're that way inclined, if you're really into horses, do the research and go to somewhere that uses horses a lot. Our guys are pretty lucky. They are able to use station horses to take to camp drafts. So, but if you are not into horses at all, I probably wouldn't go somewhere that only uses them. Maybe somewhere that uses more bikes. And do pack a few nice going out. Like we went to a Melbourne Cup day, and a lot of the girls, they were like, well, I didn't really pack anything, thinking coming out here to the station, I didn't think I'd really need anything like that. Ringers rugby competition in Catherine. So yeah, have a go. You know, if you've never done anything like that before, I'd just say to have a go, because it's probably the best way to meet new people.
Now let's take another short break in today's episode to give another shout out to this week's supportive link. It is Tupperware. Tupperware has you covered, whether it is from their new product range, such as their Red Dot award-winning silicone bags, all the way through to their very well-known pantry and fridge storage. Did you know Tupperware also has a cooking range? Whether it is cast iron or looking at their steel knives, Tupperware really has it all now. So please visit the link in the description below and visit Tupperware. When heading to the checkouts, you can support this channel as well as the So You've Married a Farmer Now What podcast and YouTube segment by selecting Katja Williams as your consultant at checkout. Now let's get back to today's episode. It sounds like your role has gone a little bit from, being outside and being very active to having the little kids on station with you, being a little bit more enclosed in the compound on a general day-to-day basis. So can you tell me about the things that you've used to help strategize to still feel like you're thriving and still involved? How do you make yourself not feel, left out?
Yeah, I guess that's why the sort of having dinners at night all together, trying to talk to Cam as much as possible about what's going on the day-to-day, whether it's sometimes very annoying. I have a two-way in the office, so usually I can hear what's all going on. Yeah, I guess being sort of more housebound has been hard, especially because I'm not a very active person. I don't like to stay indoors much, but I think with the two, I've saw that one's it's door, but two's a bit harder again, as you would know. But I think this time round, just it's only going to be a baby for so long, last forever, and trying to actually enjoy it a lot more. I think the first time around with Matilda, I was trying to go out and maybe a baby for that period of time. So that's.
If any of the rural mum community is either marrying a farmer and moving to a station or going out and moving to a station for the first time, what would be your tips, tricks, hacks, and advice, or even a mantra that you would give to them just to get them going in their identity and the role?
I think the biggest thing is to keep an open mind. I guess our mantras, my dad always used to say sink or swim. I don't know if that's a very good one. And I just kept thinking last year, when are these people, going to realise that you really you feel like I've got no idea what I'm actually doing. But yeah, just winging it, which, I think a lot of people are doing until no one's really an expert. I think the biggest thing, me and Cam on the last place we were overseas, it was just the two of us living on the station. And I think being married and working together every day, as you know, can be quite a challenge. But we used to always say that Cam's in charge when we go to work, but as soon as we get home, I'm in charge of the house. And so far, it's worked for us pretty well.
Yeah, no, that's really good advice for working with a partner. You've got to have those boundaries.
Definitely.
So, Alex, how are you adapting to the wet season? You mentioned, there is a wet season up there. So tell me about how you first experienced one and what you do to make sure that you and the team and Cam can just keep working through the heat and through the rain.
Yeah. So at the moment, we've only got one staff member just arrived back. So it's just been us on the station since the start of December, which has been nice. And then all our staff will come back in March. It's been really warm. We get flooded in, or the crossing comes up, so we can only sort of helicopter in and out at the moment. We haven't actually left. We're going on holidays next week, but we haven't actually left the station for, it'll be 6 weeks. So we obviously get some stores delivered to the station next door. But yeah, we're really looking forward to our holiday. I think making time for a holiday idea is getting off station, even if it's just to Darwin. For the kids, probably the best thing I brought was a $30 blow-up pool from Kmart for Matilda, and she just spends hours and hours in there. It's a bit hard for Dusty. He's Doesn't do so well in the heat because he's only a little baby, but trying to get out that early in the morning if we want to, go and do something with the horses or, yeah, we've had a lot of rain in January, which was great because before that, in December, we had hardly any. And the wet season's something else.
My favourite thing with the kids on the farm, especially when they were still in the carrier because they couldn't walk, was a battery operated fan, and I would actually clip it to the baby carrier.
We have a big fan with the battery buggy, or take that with us. That's been really good.
On the processing table near the crush, and they would sit in the bassinet or in the bouncer, and they would just sit and watch us process steers, and they'd have their fans clipped either side of the bouncer. So they're very adaptable. But they do not like that heat, as you've said.
No, not they. I guess they just can't regulate the temperature when they're babies properly, can they? But we're not doing any. It's all just maintenance jobs in the wet season. There's no cattle work. You can't. A lot of black soil where we live, so we'll get bogged after a shower of rain. So we're just around the house here getting shed jobs, maintenance jobs done. So getting my pictures hung on the wall while Cam's while he's around the house.
Yes, you need done inside and in the yard.
Won't getting done for the rest of the year.
Yeah, absolutely. So Alex, was there any other tips, tricks or advice in general that you wanted to extend to the rural mum community about marrying a farmer and moving to either the farm or the station, that you can bring from your wealth of knowledge, background and experience?
I think the biggest thing is trying to make sure you communicate with a little, even if I'm terrible. I really hate phone calls, but I will message people, family and friends and that, and making sure I'll probably fly home to New South Wales at least twice a year, even if it's just me and the children. I think it's good to go and have a break. And just trying to reach out to people that live around you, have a little community, go to those social events. That's where our children do most of it. Have an absolute ball.
It's important to get yourself and your farmer off station at least once a year. So how do you prep for you and Cam to get off station? Because I know one of the biggest questions I get asked on the community all the time is, how do you get your farmer off farm?
Well, he was saying a couple of months holiday, I don't think I'll go away. I'll probably just stay here. And I said, if you stay here all wet season and don't go away with us, I don't live with you. So I think you've just got to have a serious conversation like that with them about it, and just book the flights. We've all got our bags packed now just in case it starts raining really heavily and we have to leave early. And I think making sure that when you do get off for that holiday, we've got some of his friends lined up to go and see, because I think it's really important. Men don't talk enough. So I think lining up a few social occasions, catching up with mates, I think is really important.
He's social secretary as well as his normal secretary, because it's usually up to me to align when we're catching up with who. And
yes, that's exactly right. They're a bit hopeless on that front, but I think it's really important, especially males around that age with a lot of stress and pressures, that they do go and relax as much as they possibly can.
Yeah. Absolutely. So thank you so much, Alex, for coming on So You've Married a Farmer, Now What, and for talking with us today.
No worries. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for joining us here on the farm with Alex Ladder. I hope that you have picked up some tips, tricks, hacks and advice along the way that will help you move to the farm for the first time. If you have enjoyed Alex's story and enjoy hearing from people who have moved to the farm and who have tips, tricks, advice to give to you about making the transition easier and smoother for you, then please subscribe. Also fill out a review or leave a comment below. That will help other people find us and the content that could help them about moving to the farm for the first time. We have also opened up sponsorship places for our social media streams, as well as this podcast and the YouTube channel. If you are a business that enjoys supporting people moving to the farm, the agricultural industry, and especially women on the land, then please get in touch via the website link in the description and show notes below. And I'd love to have a chat to you about coming on as a season or episode sponsor. If you know a rural mum who has experienced moving to the farm for the first time or across multiple farms with advice to share, then please also nominate them via the website link below. Until next time, thanks guys for joining us here on the farm, and we'll see you back here very soon.